Guys, I could not wait to make this video. Our last video with the Breakfast Club and Vivek went absolutely viral, okay? So I'm on my timeline, as I'm usually am, whatever, right? And I see Piers Morgan on the Breakfast Club. Now, I have never watched this video, okay? Just full transparency. So this is a real reaction. I just decided I don't even want to click on it. Let's just surprise me, okay? Surprise me, all right? Because we love surprises here, all right? All right, guys, we're getting right into it. I'm just letting you know when they bring on a guest, because, you know, Piers is over here and they're over here, right? So when we bring on two opposite sides of the spectrum, things start to happen. So if you're sensitive, there's the door. Without further ado, let's rock.
Oh, my God.
I mean, the reality is all of them should be impartial. That would be the beauty, right? It would be beautiful if all of them were objective.
I actually have no problem in a country like America, a bit like the UK, a bit like with the newspapers, when we had left-wing papers, right-wing papers. I used to read them all. I still do. When I'm back in England, I get 4 or 5 papers. I read them all and I get a flavour for what everyone's thinking. I don't have a problem with left-wing networks or conservative networks, but you've got to have some place that Americans can go to for genuinely impartial coverage. And I think in the UK, we're quite blessed, really. We have the BBC, we have Sky News, we have other networks which are very, in my estimation, comparative to here, very impartial. And I like that.
You know who used to be that for America? Jon Stewart in The Daily Show.
Yeah, well, I miss him. I felt he gave up that show, unfortunately, too early. I think Jon Stewart would have been a really important voice through the whole Trump era.
Yeah.
You know, you needed people, strong personalities through that era to put things in perspective. I don't think he would have gone the whole way in constant Trump bashing, because of course I've known Trump a long time, since I did his show. The thing about the Trump bashing is it only helps him anyway, right? I mean, I had a great conversation with Chris Rock when Trump won in 2016, and I went to the New York Knicks with my eldest son, Spencer, who was over with me, and we were just sitting in one of the VIP areas, and Chris Rock was at the next table on his own, so we got talking. I said, what do you make of what's just happened? The election had happened the day before, and New York was like a mortuary. You know, you walked around, it was like this terrible silence everywhere. They were like, how did this happen? And I'd been predicting Trump was going to win, because I'd been doing crime documentaries down in rural America, down in Alabama, down in Florida, rural Texas. I could feel it. I could feel the Trump train steaming, and no one on the coast seemed to have picked up on this, and the media hadn't picked up on it. They were just like, oh, Hillary's going to slaughter him. She's the most qualified candidate ever. And I thought, you don't understand middle America and what's happening here. And I think
the rural South.
And I think the same thing is happening again now, by the way, which is why the Iowa result has shocked everyone on the coast. But, you know, I remember talking to Chris Rock, and he said, you know, several things. He said, one, fame. Do not underestimate the power of a television fame in America. He said, now. He said, and secondly, he said, if someone's killed 9 or 8 people, I think he said, don't go around saying he's killed 9. I thought that was such an astute thing to say. Don't, as we would say in England, don't over-egg the souffle, right? Don't exaggerate how bad Trump is to score your point or get some clicks on social media or whatever. Just give it straight. Examine what he's saying, examine what he's doing. Often what he says and what he does are 2 different things, right? But don't over-exaggerate. Don't over-demonize him, he said. You know, don't go around calling him the new Hitler when we know Hitler killed 12 million people.
Hey, look, they did a lot of that. They did a lot. Like, that's the understatement. Their whole campaign was on that, right? Which was honestly the biggest issue. If your campaign is really targeted at him versus how to help the American people. Two completely different things, right? Completely different things. So let me know if you agree with Piers. Back to the video.
So I thought that was a really smart take then, and I think it's a really good bit of advice now for the Democrats, which is if you continue to over-demonize Trump, all these legal cases against him and so on, it just allows him to play the martyr, the victim. It fuels his popularity. Even Republicans who don't like Trump are rallying behind him because they think he's part of a Democrat-led liberal media witch hunt. And if you allow him to play that card, he's going to win. So if you're a Democrat, this is a bad strategy.
But you have to hold people accountable, though. Nobody's above the law.
No question.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you have to hold both sides accountable, right? And Trump needs to be held accountable. But you cannot deny that what's happened in Iowa, I thought was fascinating. He won across the board, right? I know. But if it had been a Democrat with those numbers, trust me, all the people saying, yeah, would have said very different things.
Well, I was watching Morning Joe yesterday, and he said Otherwise, he had a different perspective, which I didn't think about. He was like 50% of Republicans also voted against Trump, which makes it doesn't make it a slam dunk for him in the general election.
Look, I love Morning Joe, and I think Joe Scarborough's brilliant, by the way, one of my favorite people to watch on television over here. But would he have said the same thing if Joe Biden got those numbers? Right? And the truth is, no.
See, even look, and I rarely ever see Charlamagne agree. I rarely ever see, but he has to even say, yo, look, nah, you're right. Because he is. Those are just the facts at the end of the day, right? And that's how the media portrays it. But the media, as you can see, based on what Piers Morgan is saying, doesn't always get everything right, right? And by the way, I like a difference of opinion. Imagine how boring society would be if we had everybody literally agree to the same thing. Like that wouldn't be, that would be crazy, right? Like that wouldn't even be, I wouldn't even feel right, right? I like somebody to challenge my opinion, a difference of opinion, bring something new to the table, bring some new ideas to the table, right? These things are good. That fosters growth, right? But yeah, I like to see that. Back to the video.
Because of course they were tremendous numbers.
Well, we'll never know because the Democrats don't want to do a primary,
right?
Which is also not democracy.
But the truth is, Trump winning by 30 points over his nearest rival. Trump having the biggest win of any Republican in an Iowa caucus ever. Right? These are undeniable numbers. And if Democrats want to look at these numbers and pretend they're not what they are once again deluding themselves about Trump. And they will be sleepwalking, which sadly, and I know you've been quite critical of Joe Biden about his just general lack of energy, general lack of fire. If you look at Trump, he's only 3 years younger than Biden. He looks 20 years younger than Biden. Remember, Trump's never had a drink, never had a cigarette, never had a drug. I've had long conversations with him about his brother who died of alcoholism in his 40s and made him swear off all that stuff. Right? He has an unusual health for a guy who doesn't look like an athlete. He's pretty fit, and he's got a lot of energy. He can get up there. He can rally crowds. He's a very, very effective performer as a politician, regardless of what you think of his policies. And I also think he's shown qualities which many Americans admire, not least resilience. This comeback he's making, nobody thought he could do this. After the stolen election bullshit, after the January 6th riots, all that stuff, after the 91 criminal charges, did anyone really think we'd be in a position where Trump had a landslide win in Iowa and is now in most polls I'm looking at?
And of course, obviously, this video is older, right? So he's already won the election. The election's already over. But looking back at it, that actually adds even more, right, to what Piers Morgan is saying, which is why I'm like, yo, that is crazy. Even the people that don't like him agree that that is the fact, right? I'm going to give you guys the real. Let me give you guys a real, okay? Yes, I do believe people voted for him for all the other stuff that, whether it's better gas prices, the border, fixing the border, all that stuff, right? But deep down, let me tell you something. I think people related to that. I think a lot of middle-class America feels like the underdog and nobody's speaking up about it. And I feel like a lot of people don't feel heard. I feel like a lot of people feel neglected. I feel like a lot of people felt basically they were relating to that I'm not going to say struggle because then people are going to be like, oh, well, he's a billionaire. But I mean, whether he has a quadrillion, even though it's not a real number, right? Whatever, however much number the number says in his account, he did go through a lot of that stuff. And a lot of people related because everybody goes through BS in their life, right? How do you get through it? How do you persevere through it, right? A president is somebody who leads. Are you a leader? Is that what you're doing, right? Just saying, if you agree and you think I'm preaching right now, make sure you like the video, man. Back to the video.
Likely to beat Biden if he does end up as candidate. I mean, it's an incredible comeback.
Well, it's something we say all the time, right? We know that America systemically, structurally is a racist country. And I think things like that prove it. And I wanted to ask you about in Trump 2016, after you win, I can understand the case for optimism, right? Nobody wants to see this country fall. But it's 2024 now. Based on everything we've seen Trump do, all of the things you just, said, the attempted coup of the country, the 91 criminal charges, you still think he should be president?
Well, it's not a question of whether I think he should be. It's whether I think he might be. Okay. I don't, as a non-American citizen, it's not for me to say whether Trump should be your president. It's down to Americans, right? What I do know is, you remember that last time, after 4 years of Trump, nearly 10 million more Americans voted for him second time round than first. It was
bingo. And see, this is what Piers saw. That honestly, this is why you can say what you want about him, but he's really good at taking in the information and saying, okay, yo, 10 million people, like he's tapped in, like going to Alabama, going to these different places. And I'm not saying Piers doesn't have his cons. I'm not just trying to, big him up like he's just, no, absolutely not. I'm that's another video for another day, but you do got to respect the guy for seeing that. And this is an old video. This is old. This is not a new video, right? So, all right, guys, let me know your thoughts about this. Charlamagne definitely, I like how Charlamagne listened, right? The last video with him and Vivek, they were going at it. This one, I feel like, and it's because, again, when Piers talks, he just states the facts. There's no like, this is how I feel, right? It's really, this is what it happened. This is what happened on this day. Because when you come like that, you can't say anything, right? What are you going to say to that? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for you guys' support. You guys are awesome. All right. I'm also letting you guys know I am planning to do a get together, whether that be on Twitter Spaces or what have you. So if you guys can go ahead, and if you have a Twitter account or anything like that, feel free to leave your name in the comment section. Go ahead and give you guys a follow. And then we'll also be posting when we're going live as well on our community tab. So just letting you guys know that I want to talk to you guys. I want to reach out to you guys. You guys have been amazing in growing this channel and really this movement. And we want to definitely get closer to you guys. So if that makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you kick the like button and slap the subscribe button for more. Until next time, peace out.